Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie and welcome to DISCJUNKIE360. This is a brand new series which I've decided to start because I've essentially purchased a brand new camera, which is the Insta360 X4. Now, I'm not going to bore you too much with the technicalities of the X4, but it's essentially a 360 camera. And a 360 camera is a camera that shoots in 360 degrees at the same time. And it achieves this by using a pair of ultra-wide fisheye lenses that are essentially shooting a little bit more than 180 degrees in opposite directions, and then it actually stitches these two video feeds into a single file as you're filming it. But not only that, it also manages to digitally remove the selfie stick from this shot, which means that you can essentially be filming all around you and there's no real evidence of you actually holding a camera at all. And so this enables you to do a whole bunch of crazy shots like this, where I'm essentially just holding the camera, moving it around, but you're still only seeing me without any sort of self-control of the camera. And it's essentially like I'm having a secondary camera person just following me around, but what's actually happening is just me walking around with a selfie stick. So I think that this technology is just so incredibly cool and bizarre, and it's just mind-boggling to understand as to what you can actually do with this and how it literally works. But I'm going to try to explain this a little bit further, and I'm actually going to bring in my iPhone for this one. And so now that I'm switching to the view on my iPhone, you can actually see what's going on here. I'm essentially holding a selfie stick with the Insta360 X4 attached at the end of it. But now that you understand the concept, let's just switch back to the Insta360. Basically, for me, I come to realize that what you really need to do in order to utilize the camera like this in the best way is just to unlearn what you have learned. Because shooting a video in 360 is so different from using a regular camera. But the basic idea is that you are recording in 360 degrees all of the time. This essentially means that you don't really have to think too much about framing your shots. I can essentially hold this camera like this, but then I can change the view in editing by switching it around to looking over here, maybe looking at Steve, and then I can edit this seamlessly so it actually looks like there's a variety of shots, even though I'm essentially standing in the same position, just holding the camera straight out without moving it. And so it's really weird to sort of try to get it in your head that you're just going to be walking around with the camera and not really considering what to do in terms of framing your shots. I mean, obviously, if you move your camera around, you can get some really bizarre shots, but the basic idea about this is that when you're moving your camera around, regardless of how you choose to do it, whether you're, switching hands or moving it around in bizarre circles or whatever, you can essentially edit it in post-production to decide exactly what you want to focus on. And now I'm essentially just focusing on me, and this is also something you can do really easily as you're editing this in the Insta360 Studio app, which is essentially a free program supplied by Insta360. And I gotta say that this program is really good. But on top of this, the whole AI tracking system is just really fascinating to me. And this is something known as deep track. And deep track is essentially AI technology going through your shots in 360 degrees and looking for various items it can track. And so you can ask the program to actually do this for you, like automatically look for various items, and then you sort of pick out what item you want to track. Or you can just manually mark on the screen like what sort of specific thing you would want to track. Like, let's say for example that I want to track Steve in terms of this shot. Now I can just mark Steve as sort of the item I want to track, and even though I keep moving, maybe I'm moving the camera around, it's just gonna keep tracking him no matter where I am, no matter where I go, sort of having the camera up high, maybe I decide to have the camera down low. Even so, it's just gonna track Steve no matter where I move the camera. And the other thing to consider is that I don't even have to think about what position or angle I'm holding the camera at. Like, I really don't need to care about where the lenses are facing. They can be facing forwards, backwards, left and right. It doesn't matter, because it's constantly stitching a 360 degree image. So it's looking in every direction, and I can just go in post-production and decide like, that's the thing I want to look at. Now, as far as filming modes, there's essentially a whole bunch of modes that you can use, but the bottom line is that the camera is designed to film in 360 degrees all the time. This allows you to either export the recorded footage as 360 footage, which means that you can upload it to YouTube and then people can actually scroll around and look around the footage themselves, which is really sort of helpful if you want to sort of capture a specific environment, like say you're at a concert and you want people to sort of be able to decide for themselves as to what they're trying to look at. Now in this video you'll notice that you're not really able to scroll around, and that's because I've recorded this in 360 but then I've edited it to actually frame my shots into a regular sort of video. So this is what is known as a flattened video, meaning that I've exported it and essentially turned it into a regular video that you can upload to YouTube, and you can't really do anything about it. You're just looking at whatever I want you to look at, but it was originally recorded in 360, so I really don't have to think about framing my shots, but you can't really look around. And I'm just gonna stop for a moment to take in the scenery for you guys, because I sort of keep forgetting that I'm walking through this beautiful forest, and I really should be paying more attention to the scenery rather than making a video. But it's so fun to shoot stuff on this camera, and I've actually been interested in 360 photography and videos for quite a few years. I essentially made my own 360-degree still photos back in the early 2000s, and this is something that was done on a classic sort of physical camera, which I set up on a tripod, and then I literally shot like a 360-degree manual view of something, and then I stitched it together using the 3D Bizarre program. And now we can essentially use this tracking shot of the car passing up in the background and show you how that works, and hopefully the noise doesn't sort of drain it out. But yeah, that was an example of an AI tracking shot with me just standing perfectly still. But yeah, what I was going to say is I was using QuickTime VR, which is a dead format developed by Apple, and this was definitely the early days, and I will say that I was really sort of into this. I was essentially shooting stuff on, like, you know, abandoned buildings, doing like a bit of urban exploring, but I can't really show this footage today because it's so difficult to actually get this footage to work, which is a real shame because I thought there were really cool shots in there. And so in summary, this has been a bit of a test for the Insta360, trying to get me to learn a thing or two about how to use technology. But that's it. I want to say thank you very much for watching, and as usual, hope to see you all next time.